Hi, welcome and thank you for listening to the Fearless Adventure Podcast. My name is Veerle and I'm taking you with me on a journey. In this podcast, I will give you a glimpse into my location-independent free life. I will tell you about the challenges of online entrepreneurship as a nomad, about finding the right mindset to grow, and how you can experience real freedom in your own non-nomadic life. My name is Veerle and welcome to Fearless Adventure. Hey, hello. I'm so happy that you're here for another episode of the Fearless Adventure Podcast. It's been a while again, and that's just because I want to really record about topics that I have something to share about, but also that is part of my business a little bit. I've been recording lots of episodes that are not part of the programs that I record or not part of the topics that I usually talk about, and then it's nice to talk about certain topics, but it needs to add on to my business as well. Otherwise, it doesn't really make sense. So I've been thinking a little bit about what kind of episodes I want to record. And for today, it is an episode about love languages. And I have been sitting on this episode for a while now. And today I really felt that I needed to record it. Uh, I tried to record it before, but my internet wasn't working. The program that I record in wasn't working. My mic didn't want to connect. All types of things. Usually, in the weekends there's also a lot of people working in the garden, so I have lots of background noise, and I don't want that. So today was the perfect circumstances to record. But my niece is here, and I just want to spend time with her instead of being busy working. So it was a decision that I needed to make, but I thought it was time to record this episode today. And I think it's the perfect time because when she's here, I'm thinking a little bit more about love languages than I normally am, because I want to give her the time of her life. I want her to feel seen. I want her to feel loved. So it is actually the perfect moment to record this, even though by doing that, I'm upstairs and not with her. But yeah, let's just get started. First of all, you might think, love language, what the hell is that? Well, the love language is the way that you feel loved or express your love towards others. So you might speak the same language speaking, like verbally, but you might not express the same love language. And it's funny because in my relationship, I am together with someone that's not from the Netherlands, so we speak a different language, but our love language is actually pretty the same, so that makes it pretty easy for us. Even though by speaking different languages, we might have more difficulties understanding each other. I know he's listening. I know we understand each other, but sometimes it's hard to express yourself in a different language. For me, sometimes it's still harder to say something in English when I've been talking a lot of Dutch. I noticed the first seconds I recorded this podcast, I needed to really shift my thinking into English again. So that might be harder if you're in a relationship that you have different languages, but it's also difficult if you don't speak the same love language. And first of all, I want to point out that there's a difference between expressing and receiving love. So my way of expressing love might be slightly different than the way I want to receive love. So that's something that you want to keep in mind while I'm talking about all this. And something that's important to know is that you might relate to all of them, but there's always one or two that are your most preferred languages. So there are 5 languages that I'm gonna tell you about, and I will get to that in a second. I first want to say that, of course, I am not a relationship therapist, and I don't want to be a relationship therapist, but this is still a topic that comes up every once in a while in my coaching. I think it's because it's an important part of life. Everyone wants to be loved, everyone feels love, hopefully. And I think it's important. It's also important in your business, and I am gonna prepare a masterclass about this topic. So I wanna make a masterclass about love languages in business. So if you wanna know more about that, go to the show notes and you can find them at fearlessbusiness.nl/65. But the masterclass isn't here yet, but you can let me know that you want to be informed, and I will tell you when it is. And otherwise, follow me on Instagram at fearless Veerlez. And I will put the link in the show notes because I know it's a hard handle in English. But yeah, I will keep you up to date and I will keep my Instagram up to date when I'm going to do this masterclass because I cannot wait. I'm looking forward so much to talk more about this. All right, let's dive in. There are 5 different love languages, and I'm gonna first tell you which 5 there are, and then I'm gonna dive deeper and give examples and everything. And I'm cannot wait to get started about this topic. I love it. I just recorded this episode in Dutch. So if you're a Dutch listener, you can go to the Reizende Strijdster podcast and I will tell you everything about it in Dutch. That might be easier. Or not. This is also fine. All right. So the 5 love languages are words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. And now I am gonna explain all the 5 languages. So the first one that I want to point out is words of affirmation, and that can be the verbal acknowledgments of affection. So that can be the I love yous, giving compliments, but it can also be digital communication, and I think that might be good to mention. This is all based on a book of Gary Chapman, and the book is called 5 Love Languages. Um, but when this book was written, I don't think we were communicating online as much as we are now. So he doesn't mention this, the digital communication, and that's something I added to it because I think it's important to add the way of communicating digitally to this as well because it's really about words. So someone who has words of affirmation as their first love language might might want to have lots of affirmation in text. So it might be someone that's constantly texting you or wants to be really visible in your Instagram or Facebook. So it's not only about the texting and the writing, but it can also be the more digital way of expressing your love. So it's about encouragement, it's about affirmation, empathizing, but it can also be about listening actively. So make time to have conversations. But it can also be that if someone has this love language, you might want to send unexpected notes or texts because it makes them feel loved, it makes them feel seen, and they really want this. That's all they want, actually, to, well, maybe not all, but that is their main way of expressing their love. If this is their way, they want to know that you value them and you need to tell them that. So it can be in compliments. Oh, you look nice today, or oh, well done. Is I think it's an important one, and I think this is for me a way of expressing my love more than I like to receive it, because there can definitely be a difference between that. I am someone who's constantly cheering everyone on, and I developed that a lot during my work as a volunteer coordinator at festivals because you want to connect quickly with everyone, and it's not possible to do that in every love language. And I think this is the easiest way, and it's a nice one to spread energy. So, words of affirmation is definitely high on my list of expressing, but maybe not of receiving. Yeah, I do like this love language a lot. The second one is quality time, and this is the most common for both men and women. So I think a lot of people in the world have this as their highest love language, and it's about actually spending time together. But spending time together is not all that there is to this, because I think it's really about undivided attention, so no distractions, being mindful together. So that is active listening. It's about not getting distracted while you're doing something. So you can have time that you have conversations. You can have quality time by cooking together or go on adventures. I think me and my boyfriend are really focused on quality time a lot, even though it's not our main love language. I think it's our second. We always make time for adventures and doing stuff together as well. And sometimes we don't, and that's totally fine as well. But it depends if we're together in the same country or if we're apart. If we're apart, we need to schedule in calls because otherwise we don't feel connected. And when we're together nonstop, 24/7, then we do go on lovely adventures, but sometimes we're just both working on our laptops or reading books. That's totally fine as well. But you need to communicate about this a little bit, I guess. You need to really dig deep in what someone feels is quality time. Because I remember that in one of my previous relationships, we I think he had quality time little less on the list than I did. And he was always doing stuff, and I wanted to spend time together, and I felt so unseen because he was always doing everything except spending time with me. So yeah, this can be something that you really need to make time for. And I think it's really about uninterrupted and focused time together. So make sure that if you're together, that you're not on your phone. And if you are on your phone, tell them, like, hey, this is what I'm doing, and I need to do that for 5 minutes, and then I'm totally yours. I think if you do that, then it's fine. But you need to be mindful about it. And another way of really taking time, no, not making time, of keeping this in mind when this is not your love language, make sure you're on time. Make sure to just put your phone away and be in the moment with the person. But like I said, this is the most common one, so a lot of people have this one as their love language. So I think the most important lesson is just to put your phone away, because we are always on our phones these days. We're so influenced by it. I actually have a program about that, and it's called Digital Detox. You can check it out in the show notes. But yeah, it is something of this time that we're always doing multiple things at once. And I actually know that when when my boyfriend and I are apart and we're on the phone, I am someone who's cooking and doing all the stuff, and I can tell by his face that he's sometimes like, what the hell are you doing? We're calling. You shouldn't be focused elsewhere right now. So I know that I can be a little bit more mindful about this and not schedule cooking time during the calls as well. So yeah, that was quality time. Then we're going to the third one, and that's receiving gifts. So receiving gifts, it's not actually about the material gifts. It's more about the thoughts that are behind it. So it's more a visual symbol of the love. And for me, this is the love language that I struggle the most with. I have a birthday this week, and I've been going crazy about what to buy, and I still haven't thought of it. So yeah, I don't know what to buy for someone, and that's really hard for me. So if this is not your love language, you need to really be thinking about what it is that you are gonna buy in the future. So my way of of going around this is, I have lists of everything that I might want to buy for someone, and I write down like 6 months in advance what to buy for someone as a gift, so that when the time comes and I need to buy a gift, that I have something. But of course, I don't have this for everyone. So the birthday I have next week, I have no clue what to buy. We'll figure it out later. But it's really about buying or creating thoughtful gifts. It doesn't even matter if it's something that someone made themselves. It's about the thought. And if you struggle with this, you really need to keep in mind the values of the person you're giving the gift to. I once made the mistake to buy someone a gift. My best friend, I bought her a hula hoop, but I bought it in a color that was my favorite color and not hers. Or at least it was, I think the color in itself was okay-ish, but it wasn't yet the right tone of color. So it was a very neon color, because I am very neon and out there with the colors, and she's not. So I should have thought about that and bought another set of colors. But yeah, I didn't. I'm sorry. Next time, I know. So this is for me one that I struggle with. But I think you can work around it a little bit by planning it a little bit more, taking photos if someone mentions that they like something, so you can go back to buy something. And another way around is I think that when you leave intentional love notes, that it might be a nice gift as well. So leaving love notes is actually a combination of words of affirmation and receiving gifts. So I really like to find ways to combine multiple love languages, because that way it is easier to fulfill the needs of your partner. So that's why I sometimes give examples of love languages together instead of just one. All right, so that was the third one, and I really struggle with this one. So if you do have more tips on how to buy the best gifts for someone, let me know. All right, the fourth one is acts of service. And acts of service is just about making life easier for the person that you love. So this can be that you make soup when someone is sick, or that you bring coffee or breakfast in bed in the morning, or you help them with fixing stuff. And I think this is the love language that I really grew up in, because both my parents are really high on the acts of service list. I think my father a little bit more than my mom, but I know my dad loves it when he's fixing stuff for other people, and he will always offer to help out if you have a task that's a little bit too hard. He's always the one that helps. And my mom is always the one that will bring you soup, will cook you dinner, will give you vegetables from her garden if you need that, or the eggs. So I think my mom is more acts of service and receiving gifts, or giving gifts actually. But yeah, I'm so brought up with this one, and I think that's why I I don't really need that much acts of service, but sometimes I do. But if you have a partner that has this high on the list, and you are not that good at offering your help, you can just ask sometimes, like, what can I do to make this easier for you, or can I help you with something? Or what you can do is also do the chores together. Make it a little bit quality time. If you have to put off put out the garbage, you can do it together, or do the dishes together. If you do it together, it's also a little bit of act of service, and it's maybe even little bit of quality time. So you can combine it a little bit. I like to help people sometimes with stuff as well. When I was with my boyfriend for a month in Sweden, he needed to work outdoors, and I was always at home working from home. So for me, it was pretty easy to just vacuum or clean the kitchen or do stuff like that. So that when he came home, everything was clean. And I know he likes that. So it's an easy way of expressing your love as well. Or you can just bring breakfast in bed if you have a hard time doing this. I never will make breakfast in bed. That's not my style. Making coffee, maybe, but breakfast in bed, nope. Sorry. But yeah, I think acts of service is a nice one. It's easily combined, and sometimes it just that you need to offer that you can help. So I sometimes ask my mom, "Can I help you in the kitchen?" And she will always say no, and I know that, but by offering it, she does feel seen and loved a little bit more, I hope. All right, and then the last one, this is my love language, and that is physical touch. And that's about feeling loved when you receive physical signs of affection. So it can be kissing or holding hands, cuddling on the couch, hugging. A lot of people think that it's mostly about sex, but it doesn't have to be about sex. Of course, it's a small part of it, but it's so much more. And you can also have physical touch as a love language towards your family. It does, and then of course it's not sex. So that's why I really want to point it out, that it's not all about sex. But I think this can be a difficult one for certain people, because certain people are really not that physical. And I notice that I have this love language way more towards my partner than I have it towards my family or friends. So sometimes for me, it's hard to hug a friend when that doesn't feel like that's our connection. And with a lover, it makes total sense. So it can be that you have this one with certain people and not with others as well. But if you have this as a love language, you need to make sure that your partner understands that, because otherwise you can feel very unseen with this one. And it's actually kind of funny that me and my boyfriend have this love language pretty high on our list. And when we met, that we were in a hostel in Gran Canaria, and I know that the people that were with us in the hostel, they came a day after we met, and they really felt that we have been together for such a long time, because we were so in sync with our way of touching each other, like cuddling or touching our hands when someone walked past or stuff like that. So I think it's a nice memory of our relationship that uh, yeah, people thought that we were together way longer than that we actually were. We were like, yeah, no, we met yesterday. That was funny. But yeah, this can be a hard one, so you really need to discuss this one if this is not synced up as a love language. But I think you can still really look at someone's body language to see if someone needs more attention, because people that have this will be more physical anyway, so they will lean in a little bit more towards you if they're close. So make sure you pay attention to that. And if this is your love language, make sure that you make intimacy a priority. And if you struggle with this one, it might be, if you want to combine love languages a little bit, if your love language is receiving gifts and physical touch is the love language of your partner, you might want to give a massage. That might be a nice gift to give. So you can combine it a little bit. And I think maybe it's not about this one, but I think for a lot of people it might be a good idea to have like date night. I think it's more quality time, but I think you can also combine it a little bit with the other love languages. So for me, the most important thing about these love languages is that you know which 5 ingredients are out there, and you can combine them all a little bit and make sure that you use them in the way that you want to use them, but also the way that your partner or your family wants to receive love. And it's funny that I record this, of course, now that my niece is here, and she is still young, so she's still developing in her ways of expressing and receiving love. And I really like to experiment a little bit with it. Not that I'm gonna withhold anything, but I really like to notice how she reacts to every way of expressing my love. So it's a nice thing to pay attention to. So I hope you learned a lot during this episode, or maybe not, but that's also fine. Maybe it was just a confirmation of what you already knew. I am a little bit interested to hear if you have other tips for people about expressing a love language or to combine it. And if you want to know more about the love language in business, let me know. You can reach me on Instagram and you can check out the link in the show notes. And this was it for today. So I will talk to you later in a next episode. Ciao. Thank you for getting along on my journey and listening to another episode of Fearless Adventure. Would you like more information on the topic of this episode? Then take a look at the show notes on fearlessbusiness.nl. Give your opinion or want to screenshot this episode on Instagram, you can find me and tag me on Instagram at Fearless. That is Veerlez. Fearless. Can't wait to hear from you and see you next time.